Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Zach Young, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we're joined by Dr. Ellen Albertson, known as the Midlife Whisperer, a psychologist, registered dietitian, health and wellness coach, and author focused on helping midlife women reclaim their energy, confidence, and joy. Through her blend of science meets soul coaching, Ellen supports women in their 40s, 50s, and 60s and beyond to heal their relationship with food, body, and self, navigate midlife changes like menopause, life transitions, and personal rejuvenation, and step into their next chapter with vitality and self-compassion. With 25 plus years of experience and a deep commitment to transformation, she helps women everywhere rock their midlife and discover that midlife can and should be their prime time. Ellen, a very, very warm welcome to Founders Future.
Thanks, Zach. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Going to be a great episode, a lot to dive into. Before we do, I do like to start with your background though. So before becoming the Midlife Whisperer, can you walk us through what were you doing previously and what was really your inspiration to get into this space?
Well, I have always worked with midlife women, even before I was a midlife myself, certainly before I was a midlife whisperer. I started my career as a registered dietitian, nutritionist, and we were talking a little off the air. I became a celebrity chef. I wrote for a lot of women's magazines. I was really in media. And then also I became a personal fitness trainer and a nutritionist at a very high-end gym, which is kind of an entrepreneurial venture. Everybody coming to me were midlife women. So throughout my whole career as like a coach, nutritionist, personal fitness trainer, psychologist, they've just always been attracted to me. And I love working with this group of women, just because it's such a profound transformation. You know, we all know about like puberty and pregnancy for women, but there's this thing called perimenopause that women go through, and we're finally talking about it. But it's really, I like to call it dragon flying. You go from like this nymph stage in the water and you go through this change kind of in your 40s and 50s, and you really transform. So my inspiration for the business was just really becoming a one-stop shop for midlife women, for women going through perimenopause, really understanding this time period, helping women with becoming radiant and finding that midlife and menopause, it's not a problem to be solved. It's a portal to a higher level of being. And so that's been my inspiration. Just, I get inspired by my clients. Just seeing people transform is just really, really spurs me on.
Easy to tell. I mean, you are joyful, radiant right now. So clearly you're doing what you're preaching.
Thanks. Yeah. Well, you know, I told you off air before we got on. I live in Costa Rica, so I spend half of my life living on the Champlain Islands in Vermont, where we grow all our food. I'm also, again, a dietitian, so healthy eating, healthy lifestyle is super important. And then I get to escape winter and come to Pura Vidaville, Costa Rica. So I definitely practice what I preach. I think that's been, if you're listening, an entrepreneur, a big piece of. I know we can be such workaholics, right, as entrepreneurs, because there's always more you can do. There's always like more marketing, more sales, more delivery. But you've got to get that balance between having your business fit your life. And that's been a big lesson for me because I come from a long line of entrepreneurial workaholics, right? And I really needed to get that balance back in my life.
There is more to life than work, that is for sure. But let's dive into the business itself. Can you walk us through, what does working with Ellen look like today? How do you structure your work with your clients, everything like that?
Yeah, so I run a multi-touch ecosystem. So basically, I find my clients through the usual suspects, right? Social media, getting them onto an email list with some type of freebie. Right now, I'm really, really loving doing a private podcast. So I think if you're business to consumer, that's a really big thing. It's a very loud marketplace these days, and you've got to really be the authoritative one. You've got to be the leader in your niche. And I feel like your niche forms around you. So my day-to-day, it's like, yes, I spend a lot of time marketing, but I love marketing. Marketing is really delivering value to people who I want to convert into kind of curious prospects. And then, then there's the customer piece, which is that sales piece. Again, not a dirty word. I love sales. Sales is really about getting that right woman and saying, okay, I hear you. I've got you. I take them through what I call a midlife radiance assessment. If you're listening, you can check it out on my website, The Midlife Whisperer, where, I take a look at like 5 various areas of their lives and at where they're at now, where they want to be. And we talk about like what transformation looks like. And then if they want to continue to work with me, it's a no-brainer because I really am here to deliver very, very high quality coaching. So my day is kind of, split between the marketing, the engagement calls, the sales, and then I like to spend more of my time coaching, both, variety of different ways. So right now I am using Kajabi, which I love. So really doing one-on-one coaching, group coaching, and then also starting to do more course delivery.
Very nice. I'd love to ask about the private podcast. I think this is the first time I've heard of, using a podcast as kind of your free, your free or low ticket, whatever it is. So I'm curious, talk to us about that podcast. Is it just you on the podcast? Is it short, long? What does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, so the idea is to create bingeable content. So we all know, like, we have our Netflix shows. I love the Bridgertons, right? Anything that comes out, I'll watch more of it. So it's a couple of things. It's like when somebody comes into my universe, the Midlife Whisperer universe, or like, I kind of like her energy, what's she about? It takes a while to warm somebody up to the point where they actually want to be more engaged, and invest their time and their money in working with you. And so what the content does is kind of bingeable content, has to be entertaining. I think that podcasting is awesome because people are driving to work, they're doing the dishes, they're cooking, they're walking the dog, right? And so it's really hard to get people's attention, just the cell phone kind of a visual thing. So if you can get people hooked, and then, really, what do you do? What do you stand for? What's your story? How do you help people? So I use something called Hello Audio. It's super easy to do. I record on Riverside. My episodes are probably, I would say, 12 to 20 minutes. It's really also important because a lot of what I do, I kind of marry science and soul. So I have more degrees than a thermometer. I'm a psychologist, dietitian, but I'm also very interested in human design, things like Reiki and energy work. Frequency is everything. Like we are energetic beings. So when someone hears your voice, they hear your frequency, it's kind of like you're magnetically trying to, attract them into your world. So it's been fun. I actually just started the podcast. My mentor, Julie Ciardi at Ignite, her coaching school, is big on it. She's built a beautiful business. So I'm kind of like following her. I think it's a big part of being an entrepreneur too, is like getting a mentor, following somebody so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So it's fun. But I think a big piece of what you do in terms of your marketing is what do you love and what are you good at? I had a nationally syndicated radio show for 5-6 years. I love doing podcasts. I love being on podcasts. So it was a really nice fit for me.
Yeah. You're enjoying the work that you're doing, which is going to allow you to do it for a long time, which I think is very important, like you just mentioned. It's sustainable in the long-term effect. So you have the podcast that they get. I'm curious about your social media content when it just comes to Instagram, Facebook, all of kind of the usual suspects. I'm going to take a guess. Do you do a lot of video content?
I do a lot of video content, especially,
Yes.
well, but both places where I live are really, really nice. So
Mhm.
people love Costa. They love to see Costa Rica. And then when I'm in Vermont, I live in 10 acres with the border collie across from the lake. So it's fun. I like being in front of the camera. I'm a Leo rising. And so I'm kind of like, put me in front of the camera. But I think that's a big piece too. When people come to me and I ask them like, what drew you to me? What made you interested in wanting to work with me? It's your energy. And I work on my frequency, and this is something, if you're interested in human design, I have a free human design chart on my website, The Midlife Whisperer. You start to see what are my shadows, what are my gifts, how do I raise my frequency? And that's kind of what magnetizes people. So the podcast, the Instagram, I think that especially if we are business to consumer, we're our own avatar. if you had seen me 10 years ago, you'd been like, you are not the same person. I've gone through a huge transformational arc myself, and that's kind of what I teach women to do in their own lives, which looks different for everybody. But yes, I do a lot of video content on Instagram.
Yeah, very easy to tell that you're comfortable in front of the camera. That is for sure. It was an easy guess. Easy guess. So it sounds like, like you said, you're doing a lot of the marketing, the sales. Do you have a team working with you at all on the business, or are you a one-woman show?
Oh no, I am not a one-woman show because I suck at execution. I'm not good at it. I'm kind of that thinking of ideas and brainstorming and doing the creative work. And I really need somebody who's kind of detail oriented. So, I've hired a small agency, which I love, and they can kind of expand with me. So if I need more things done, they can do more things. And they're also really good too, because I think it's really important when you're hiring somebody, hire someone not necessarily like the best that in what you're looking for, but somebody who really gets your brand, who really like is wants to be part of your mission, who brings that enthusiasm. Then it gets fun to work with them, and somebody who compliments you. So I actually have a small agency. She's like got her VA agency, and she's got a number of people who work for her. And so we meet every week. We talk about kind of my goals and what I want to do. And they help me, create content, and they help me get things up and going on Kajabi, which I'm still trying to figure out how to get this incredible machine to work for me.
Got it. Yeah. Bringing in help when you know you need it, it's very important, but it's tough for a lot of entrepreneurs to do, to give up some tasks in their business. How long did it take after you started the business, after the Midlife Whisperer was running, for you to start delegating tasks out?
That's a great question. I think definitely took me a couple of years. I think I started with some just freelance people, probably from trying to like Fiverr, which worked well. Probably I would say 2 to 3 years into the business. And if I had it to do all over again, I would do it earlier because, as I was saying, energy is everything, and it's so easy to get exhausted as an entrepreneur. And if you're doing everything, you can't focus on what you do best. And so, what I do best in my business is I'm a fantastic coach. I am good in front of the camera, speaking, writing, creating content. I just want to really create the content. So do that as part of my marketing, writing books, creating content, doing the coaching. I love one-on-one and group coaching, and then using my agency to help me with things like funnels and posting and figuring out Kajabi and those types of things. But it took me a couple of years, but it's definitely when you think about like how much you get paid an hour, it makes a lot of sense to hire somebody to do those things that you're not good at and do more of, and also I'm hiring more of what is in my zone, even of excellence. So we've got sort of our zone of incompetence, our zone of competence, our zone of excellence, and our zone of genius. And so if you want to enjoy your business and be successful, do more of what's in your genius zone. And I have to say, kind of love my chat GPT. And learning how to use your chat GPT. You can go overboard and all of a sudden, it's not working as well for you. But I find, ChatGPT never gets tired. ChatGPT, you pay ChatGPT $20 a month and it's
Mhm.
always friendly. You don't have to be polite if you don't want to. I generally am, but I do love my ChatGPT.
That's funny you say that. Yeah, I find myself saying like, please and thank you. And I'm like, this is not a human. Why, why am I doing this? That's funny stuff. So I'd love to ask about the books a little bit. How did the books come to be? When was the last one? Excuse me. What was the last book you wrote? And are there more coming in the future?
Oh, the last book I wrote was called Rock Your Midlife: 7 Steps to Transform Yourself and Make Your Next Chapter Your Best Chapter. And so those 7 steps are still very much part of my sort of midlife radiance method and my dragon flying methodology. So that was a really great book, and I still feel it's got a lot of legs. So I wrote that in 2021. And so my next two kind of I'm playing with two book ideas right now. One is Second Saturn Return. So Saturn goes around the sun every 28, 29 years. So you might kind of be in that place. I'm not sure. But, and then it goes around again when you're sort of in your late 50s. So talking about my second Saturn return, which is sort of a kind of the culmination. There's a lot of various astrological transits that women go through, or men too, through midlife. So it might be second Saturn return. I've had a very interesting second Saturn return, empty nest, blindness, divorce, breast cancer. It's been rocky, but everything's kind of brought me to this really beautiful, radiant place. And then I'm also thinking about dragon flying. So I'm right now working to get dragon flying trademarked, which is this idea that we all know the butterfly transformation, but the dragonfly, it's a nymph for like 2 or 3 years. It's like a fish in the water. It's a fierce predator. And one evening it climbs up a stalk of grass. It molts, like think alien, right? Like it molts, its final molt, and it just flies away. And it's fast and it's sexy and it's like cool. And so I feel like with the women that I'm working with, it's a sort of inside out transformation. So that's kind of in the works as well.
Huh. The second turn around Saturn, was that right?
Second Saturn return. So either second
Second.
Saturn return. So the Saturn again goes around the sun every 28 and a half, between 28 and 30. So you have this big change. Like if you've been through that or you're at that place, it's a big transformation where you sort of Saturn is kind of the disciplinarian that says, okay, you haven't done what you're supposed to do. Let's get straight on track. Like you start thinking about like maybe I should get married and have kids in the house and all those things. And then for me, my second Saturn return was kind of I needed to get rid of my workaholism. And that breast cancer was kind of my wake up call of how do I be creative and get a lot done and be successful without being a workaholic. So how do I
Hmm.
shift my energy? And that's been an interesting transformation. So that
Yeah.
was my big aha with second Saturn return. Plus, changing from divorce and was working with my ex-husband for years and then being out on my own and meeting someone else, coming to Costa Rica.
Hmm. Well, I just got my first return. I
Okay.
just turned 28. So are you telling me, Ellen, that this next couple of years is gonna be a big change for me?
Well, if you are on track,
Hmm.
it doesn't necessarily have to be, but if you're not in alignment with what your, I'll say, soul wants to be doing, if you're not on track, things can do some shifts. But I think in general, like in our society, that sort of between 28 and 30 is kind of when you're like, okay, it's time for me to do some adulting. So I have kids your age, so I understand that sort of like, we can't be like living like a student anymore and like what am I supposed to be doing? Getting a little bit more serious about what we're here for and what we want to do. So yeah, you're
Yeah.
right on the cusp of starting your first Saturn return.
Yeah. I'm finally becoming an adult. I feel like that hit me around like 25, right? I think the saying is, well, your brain's not fully developed until 25. Is that right?
Well, your brain's always changing. That's neuroscience. But
Hmm.
yes, for men, it's probably around, your early mid 20s. But I think it doesn't mean that you need to stop having fun. I think we think adulting needs to be so serious, but I'm all about lightening up, not taking yourself so seriously, especially as an entrepreneur. And one tip that I really have to share is you've got to fail forward. And that's a lesson that I have really learned, especially studying my human design of you're going to fail. And a lot of times I would fail and I'd get frustrated and I'd want to like, throw in the hat and like stop. And it's like now things don't go exactly the way that I think they're going to go, but I'm like, okay, what am I learning? What's working? What's not working? But that's a huge part of being an entrepreneur. That you need to fail forward. You're going to fail. It's just part of being a success. It's not a bad four-letter word.
No, no, but it hurts in the moment. That's for sure. But we got to change our thought process around it. Absolutely. Ellen, looking forward to the future a little bit. Let's say, I mean, 2026 is slowly creeping up on us. Any goals you've set for yourself in the business over the next year you're looking to achieve?
Absolutely. World domination. No. Um, it's a combination of I want to continue to be the best at what I do, which is really holding midlife women, creating a safe space for them to do this dragon flying transformation. So continue with, I'm always in human design, I'm a 1-3. So I'm always studying, learning, and experimenting. That's kind of what that piece is about. I'm really looking to expand what I'm doing on Kajabi. So I want to my goal is to, create a tribe of, I'd love for 2026, my goal is to have 100 women who are doing a variety of one-on-one groups, courses. I'd love to do retreats. Like everyone's always asking me, Ellen, when are you doing a Costa Rica retreat? So I really want to be doing retreats just really enjoying myself and having fun, where I'm looking forward to Mondays, right? Where you don't, you're excited about the work that you're doing, and really, again, just being in alignment with my mission. And I think we're at a very exciting time where we're talking about things like menopause. Like my mom didn't talk about it, but women are talking about it. They're needing support. And I think that what the issue that I see in the market is these sort of magic bullet solutions. And it's not a magic bullet solution, it's a transformational experience. And I really want to kind of, again, on the Midlife Whisper, usher women in to this second adulthood so that they can make a bigger difference in the world and make the world a better place.
Great goals to have. Couldn't think of a better one myself, to be honest. Ellen, such a pleasure having you on the show. Where can the listeners find you? Where can they connect with you online?
The easiest place is themidlifewhisperer.com, or just I'm the Midlife Whisperer on Instagram. I'm the only Midlife Whisperer. I've got the trademark it's on it. So if you Google the Midlife Whisperer, I will come up. I've got a lot of, whether you're an entrepreneur or you're midlife women looking for support, on my website, I've got a free human design chart, which is super cool to learn more about human design. I've got a eating guide checklist, which is specifically for midlife women, but anybody. I mean, that's a big piece of being an entrepreneur. You got to take care of your body. I mean, if you want to have the energy to do the work, you can't be living on, Snickers bars and coffee, or my people, some of the Snickers bars and Diet Coke, right? But yeah, check it out. I would love to connect with you. I love meeting other entrepreneurs and, sharing how to make the world a better place through entrepreneurship, and how to use your entrepreneurship to help you grow. Because I think that's a big piece of it, is such an incredible opportunity for you to grow and develop as a human being through your business.
Very well said. Ellen, such a pleasure having you on. Thank you so much for your time today.
My pleasure.
Absolutely. And that will wrap up another inspiring episode of The Founder's Future. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to go and connect with Ellen just about everywhere at themidlifewhisperer.com. That's her website, The Midlife Whisperer, just about on every single social media. Is that right, Ellen?
Pretty much. I'm Rock Your Midlife on Twitter, but if you Google me or Midlife Whisperer, you'll find me.
Love it. Go check out the content. Just go check out everything she has. Book a call. She's clearly very good at what she does. And if you are a business owner, specifically a coach, consultant, or agency owner, and you're looking to scale your business, and you really want to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to hop on a call with our team and discover how we went from 0 to 30 million per year in less than 3 years. Until then, keep on climbing.